Now, the White House is giving a new spin on the sky-high gas prices, which have shattered records for 2 straight weeks, putting a serious strain on Americans' wallets. And now President Biden is suggesting that the high gas prices are a step toward the far left's green agenda. Watch.
When it comes to the gas prices, we're going through an incredible transition that is taking place that, God willing, when it's over, will be stronger and the world will be stronger and less reliant on fossil fuels when this is over.
John James, the president has finally said the quiet part out loud, right? That the skyrocketing prices of gas and oil is all because of his agenda. It's exactly what the Democrats wanted when they killed the Keystone Pipeline and when they killed all the oil leases.
Look, this is the modern day equivalent to let them eat cake. As long as his legacy is preserved, he doesn't care about your future. Now, look, I'm all about an all-the-above energy strategy, which is sustainable and protects American energy independence and protects American jobs. But you have this Green New Deal lobby, this agenda that the Biden is pushing forward that's crushing American jobs and crushing our wallets. They have no experience in the real world, and it's showing right now. With their arrogance and their detachment from outside the Beltway, they are making Americans feel the pain, and they don't have a plan for long-term sustainable clean energy that will keep our jobs here and will allow American energy independence. We cannot, absolutely cannot trade our dependence on foreign oil for our dependence on Chinese batteries.
Right, and Kennedy, to John James's point, while we are dealing with scarcity and shortage of baby formulas and these skyrocketing prices, the bottom line is the president is failing to reassure Americans.
Well, he hasn't really acknowledged a problem. When you see this as a positive transition, you have already failed. Because when people can't afford gas, they can't go to work. When they can't go to work, businesses suffer, and when businesses shut down, people lose their jobs. And we all know that in a recession, more people are likely to get sick and die, unfortunately, because they don't have the means to take care of themselves. This is nothing to celebrate, but ultra-leftists have been saying that part out loud for a long time. They have believed that the federal government needs to act oppressively to raise energy prices, and that will somehow force people to get off of fossil fuels. What they don't acknowledge is, you know, yes, alternative energy sources will certainly be our future thanks to private American innovation, but we need a ramp to get there. They're not acknowledging that the ramp is going to need to be broader, and it is going to take more time than the few years that we spend in economic crisis, which is incredibly inhumane. Being okay with that, you know, a lot of people suffering for an ultimate good end.
That's right, Harris. A lot of people are suffering. And to Kennedy's point about time, you know, frankly, a recession is brewing. And yet this White House remains disconnected with both messaging and action.
I want to know when Mark Ruffalo, the actor, started writing the talking points for the President of the United States. It was just last week we were saying that Mark Ruffalo, the actor in Hollywood, was saying, well, you know, that the fuel prices are high because of the war in Ukraine. So, you know, he bought Biden's line on that. He's blaming Putin, too, I would suspect. But what he was saying is this is an opportunity. An opportunity to take a look at the fossil fuel costs as an opportunity to transition into that green energy vision that so many on the left have. That's what the president said. He said the same thing. So I don't know if maybe actors are writing his talking points. Maybe he'll be able to remember the lines better, the president. But I would say this. When we suffer, we can't help anybody effectively. You cannot, on a plane, survive a crash if you don't put your mask on first before you help somebody else with their oxygen mask. And right now, our economy, when it comes to prices of things, is suffocating us. We need oxygen. We need a plan. We need a president who understands that when you overspend, you only drive inflation. We need someone who can do basic math or take notes from somebody other than Mark Ruffalo, if that's what happened. Sounds like it did.
And Kayleigh, I want to get your thoughts on strategy here, because what this represents is a dramatic shift in strategy of this administration. From prior to this, they were blaming Putin and they were blaming everything else but essentially their agenda, again, coming clean that, yes, this is exactly what we wanted. So what do you make of this?
What I make of this is they do have a strategy. That strategy is making sure you can't afford gas, so you can't afford your car, you can't afford your vehicle, and you have to buy a clean energy source. Emily, as we speak right now, President Biden is on his way back from Asia. I just read as we came to air that they made a stop. They stopped at Elmendorf Air Base, that's in Alaska. Well, why did they stop? They stopped to refuel. Let me tell you this, President Biden does not pay that bill for the Air Force One fuel. I imagine it's astronomical. It's certainly double what it was during the Trump years. If he had to pay that bill, I imagine he wouldn't be lauding this as an incredible transition. If he had to pay the bill for the Beast, which he rides in, I imagine he wouldn't be lauding this as an incredible transition. The real truth is they look at you as if you are in a green energy ghoul experiment where we all are just little pawns that they can move around. Don't just listen to Biden. His Interior Secretary, Deb Haaland, was asked before Congress, are energy prices too high? And she refused to say yes. Brian Deese, the economic advisor, was asked, what's your plan? He didn't have one. But guess who was honest with us? Secretary Jennifer Granholm. When she was asked, what should we do about clean energy? Her direct quote was this: accelerate the move to clean energy because it will make us independent. That is the grand design. They want to price you out of the market so you can go buy a Tesla and you can move to a fuel-efficient vehicle, which will be, who knows, what is it, 100,000? I don't know how much a Tesla is right now, but you can't afford it.
It's a lot.
And you can't afford your gas bill, and that's Biden's plan. It's a lot. Yes.
Look, and this is before we would ever suffer any grid issues. We know it happens on both coasts every summer when it gets hot, right? California's already dealing with some of that heat right now. It forces grid issues. Yet we're going to drive things that depend on grids. We're not there yet. Our infrastructure isn't there yet. And now reporting that President Biden wants to tap the diesel oil reserve to help out the price of diesel, which in some places is well over $7 per gallon right now. I mean, that's causing the prices of everything to go up. So how does he want to hit the inflation on the products? He wants to release more fuel. Well, the last release was only going to help us 10 to 35 cents per gallon of regular unleaded. We're at $4.59 a gallon now. If you take off 10 cents, do you feel it? I don't think so.
That's exactly right. And those are exactly the issues, Harris, that all of us going to the ballot boxes at the midterms are carrying with us. The burden that Biden doesn't have to enjoy, to Kayleigh's point, understanding what refueling the Beast and refueling Air Force One means, that's what we all understand every time we go to the pump, every week, or in many Americans' cases, every day.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.